Hey, Lucy, how was your first meeting with the boss?
It was acceptable, but I wasn't a fan of his communication style. He entered the room and immediately declared, "All right, everyone, gather around. We have a lot of work to do." I found his approach to be rather intense.
Ah, well, that's his typical behavior. Just attempt to steer clear of him if possible, Jessica. Mr. Anderson has a way of making everything seem like it's our fault. It's a toxic place. So be careful.
What do you mean by be careful?
He exploits situations to make himself look good, and he's not above throwing his employees under the bus.
This is not what I signed up for. We can't let him continue like this.
I know, Jessica, but speaking out comes with consequences. He's ruthless. Jessica, let me tell you about what happened with Dave, a colleague who got fired because of a simple misunderstanding.
Dave. I've heard his name around. What happened?
It was a few months back. Mr. Henderson had assigned Dave to a crucial project. The pressure was on, and deadlines were tight. Dave, being meticulous, was trying his best to meet expectations.
Sounds intense.
It was. One day, Mr. Henderson called Dave into his office for an update. There was a miscommunication about the progress, and Mr. Henderson, in his typical fashion, blew up without giving Dave a chance to explain.
That's harsh.
Yeah, it was. Dave tried to explain, but Mr. Henderson was in no mood to listen. He fired Dave on the spot, accusing him of incompetence and negligence.
Just like that?
Just like that. No room for discussion, no consideration for the years Dave had dedicated to the company.
That's so unfair. What happened to Dave?
He was devastated, Jessica. He tried to appeal to HR, but the toxic atmosphere in the office made it difficult for him. Eventually, he found a new job, but the whole experience left a scar.
I can't believe Mr. Henderson would do that. How does he get away with it?
He's cunning, knows how to manipulate situations. And, unfortunately, many are afraid to speak out. That's why we need to be careful in exposing him.
We can't let this continue. We have to find a way to stop him and bring justice for people like Dave.
I anticipated your response. I shared that information with you to ensure your vigilance. We'll catch up later. I need to return to my desk. Take care.
Mr. Anderson, may I have a moment of your time?
Make it quick. I've got a lot on my plate.
I've noticed a few things since I started here, and I thought it was important to bring them to your attention. I've observed instances where credit for ideas and work is not accurately attributed, and there seems to be a lack of transparency in decision-making. It's creating an environment that feels, well, a bit tense.
I run a tight ship, Jessica. If you can't handle it, maybe this isn't the right place for you.
I want to contribute positively to the team, but I've also noticed that some of my ideas have been misrepresented or overlooked. It's affecting my morale and, I believe, the overall team dynamics.
This is a competitive environment, Jessica. It's not about feelings. It's about results.
I understand the need for results, but I also believe that a positive work environment fosters better productivity. When employees feel their contributions are valued, they are more likely to go above and beyond.
Idealistic notions, Jessica. In the real world, it's about survival of the fittest.
I believe a healthy work culture can coexist with achieving goals. It would be beneficial for all of us to feel appreciated and acknowledged.
Are you trying to change the way I run things here, Jessica?
I'm not asking for a complete overhaul, but a more transparent and collaborative approach could lead to better results.
I'll consider what you've said, but don't expect any drastic changes. This is the way I've run things for years.
Thank you for listening, Mr. Anderson. I just wanted to express my concerns in the hope that we can work together for a more positive and productive workplace.
This has gone too far, Lucy. We can't let Mr. Anderson continue to abuse his power like this.
You're right, Mark. Jessica was the third person this month. It's unjust, and we can't stay silent anymore.
I know. She was a hard worker, dedicated to her job. And to think, She got fired just because Mr. Anderson didn't like her questioning his decisions. It's not the first time, Lucy. This has been happening for too long. Remember Dave? He got fired just because he disagreed with Mr. Anderson during a meeting.
And before that, Sarah. She was let go for taking a sick day. It's like Mr. Anderson is using his power to eliminate anyone who doesn't fit his mold.
It's a toxic environment, Lucy. We can't keep turning a blind eye to these injustices.
But Mark, speaking up could cost us our jobs too. We've seen what happens to those who question Mr. Anderson.
I know, Lucy. But how can we live with ourselves if we stay silent? We need to question the ethics of this workplace.
And if we speak up, what if no one else joins us? We could be risking everything.
Lucy, sometimes you have to do what's right, not what's easy. We can't let fear dictate our actions.
I want to do what's right, Mark, but it's scary. I have bills to pay, a family to support.
I understand, Lucy. We're not alone in this. We can gather evidence, talk to other colleagues who feel the same way. Strength in numbers, remember?
You're right, Mark. We can't let fear control us. Let's expose Mr. Anderson's actions and stand up for what's right.
That's the spirit, Lucy. We're in this together. Mr. Anderson, we can't ignore what's been happening in this office any longer. And what's that, Mark? You here to complain about how tough it is to work for me? No, I'm here to talk about the toxic work environment you've created. Unjust firings, manipulation, and exploitation. It has to stop. You have no evidence of anything. Just baseless accusations. I beg to differ, Mr. Anderson. We have plenty of evidence. This is not baseless. It's a pattern of abuse. You think this changes anything? I run this office the way I see fit. Not anymore. We won't let you exploit and manipulate us. We're united against your unfair practices. So, what's your endgame, Mark? We want a workplace that respects its employees. Fair treatment, transparency, and an end to the toxic atmosphere you've created. You're naive if you think you can change anything. I've been in charge for years. Times are changing, Mr. Anderson. We have the support of our colleagues, and we're prepared to take this to higher authorities if needed. You're playing with fire, Mark. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes when this backfires. I'm not afraid anymore, Mr. Anderson. We're standing up for what's right, and we won't be silenced. Get out. Let's see where this leads you.
So, Mark, how did it go? Did Mr. Anderson buy any of it?
It was intense, Lucy. I laid out all the evidence on his desk. Emails, witness statements, everything we've collected.
And? What did he say?
He tried to deny it at first, of course. But when I handed over the documents and emails, he went silent.
Silent? That's a victory, right?
In a way. He realized we had enough to expose him, and he couldn't just brush it off.
Did he threaten you? I mean, we're taking a big risk here.
He did. But I stood my ground. Told him we're not afraid anymore, and we won't let him manipulate us.
That's brave, Mark. I'm glad we're in this together. But what's our next move?
We need to keep the momentum. I've scheduled a meeting with HR to present our case. We need an official record of what's happening.
That's a smart move. And we can get more colleagues to share their experiences. Strength in numbers.
Exactly. The more voices we have, the harder it'll be for him to dismiss it. We're exposing the toxic culture he's created.
We can't let fear dictate our actions. The workplace should be a space for growth, not a source of anxiety.
Absolutely. We're standing up not just for ourselves but for everyone who's been mistreated.
Let's make sure Mr. Anderson knows we won't back down. We're taking back our workplace.
And we'll make it a place where everyone is treated with respect and fairness. We've endured enough, Mr. Henderson. It's time for change. Our work environment should be supportive, not toxic. I didn't realize the extent of the impact I've had on all of you. I'm truly sorry for my actions. Sorry isn't enough, Mr. Henderson. We need real change. Actions speak louder than words, Mr. Henderson. I know. That's why I'm willing to implement new policies, ones that foster a collaborative and respectful environment. I'll undergo sensitivity training to better understand the impact of my actions. What about those you fired unjustly? Will they get their jobs back? I can't change the past, but I'll ensure that those affected are compensated fairly. I'll also review all the cases and make amends where possible. It's a start, Mr. Henderson, but we'll be watching closely. Trust needs to be rebuilt. I understand, Mark. I appreciate your courage in bringing this to light. I'm committed to earning back your trust and creating a positive workplace. We need more than just apologies, Mr. Henderson. We need tangible changes to ensure this doesn't happen again. I completely agree, Mark. Please, let's discuss the changes you all need. Firstly, we need a more transparent communication system. Many of us felt unheard or afraid to voice our concerns. You're right. I propose implementing regular town hall meetings where everyone can share their thoughts and concerns openly. And what about a suggestion box? Anonymity might encourage more people to speak up. Excellent idea. We'll set up a suggestion box, and I'll personally review the feedback regularly.
We also need a whistleblower protection policy. People should feel safe reporting unethical behavior without fear of retaliation.
I understand the importance of this, Mark. I'll work with HR to develop a policy that protects those who come forward and ensures their confidentiality.
And we need assurance that anyone who retaliates against a whistleblower will face consequences.
Absolutely. Retaliation will not be tolerated, and there will be consequences for anyone found guilty.
We need a system to ensure these changes are implemented and effective.
I propose quarterly evaluations to assess the progress of these changes. We can discuss what's working and address any lingering issues. These evaluations need to be transparent, with input from all employees, not just upper management. Agreed. We'll make sure the evaluation process is inclusive and thorough,